When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Look, I'm just as high on K-State football this season as anybody else, but I'm very concerned, actually, about how many players pronounce crayon wrong. Seriously. It's not crayon. It's not crown. It's not what are the others? What do they say? How do they pronounce it in Chicago, AJ?
Well, I say crayon because I'm not mentally deficient.
Oh, take it easy, man. I'm just having some fun. You went right there for the throat.
I was a little heated when I saw that video. Like, I was shaking with rage. I was what do the kids call it now, Mitch? They still say triggered?
Don't ask me.
Okay. Well, when I saw that, I'm like, really? I've heard the pronunciation crayon.
Crayon?
Crayon. That's what some Chicagoans like to say. But in my family, we're proper and we say it correctly. We say crayon.
Yeah, it's crayon. It's crayon.
Yeah.
There's a poll at the game, KMAN. How do you pronounce crayon? Go vote. Right now, it's 75% crayon. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, a little concerned about that. And, here's the deal. We need more Jordan Riley on social media. You just see a little bit of the personality come out in these videos, which it's been like a trendy thing to do. And you have a camera outside a facility. You see this a lot in athletics. And as guys are all walking in one area, there's one exit or one entrance. And you put out a little sign with a question and, they read the question, then they answer it. Jordan Riley, I think he needs his own talk show.
He's like
R.J. Garcia last year, like the gimmick he was hosting before last year. I think Jordan Riley could take that over.
He's kind of like DJ Giddens on the defense. There's a personality there, but he doesn't show it much.
You talking about Jordan Riley?
Yeah.
I think he shows it quite a bit. Well, I can't speak for what he's like not in front of the media.
Yeah.
But I see similarities of him in front of the media, and then on the camera, maybe he's like – I think Keontae Johnson was a great example of he was real chill, real calm, didn't show a ton of personality with us media, but got a little hint of it during the NCAA tournament when the locker rooms would be open. I could tell he's a really fun guy, and he's funny.
Yeah,
he's really easy to talk to when he's just around the guys. I think Jordan Riley shows that all the time. Jordan Riley's a great guy. Really like his personality, and by the way, I really like his play on the field. We haven't seen him play it down yet for K-State, but that'll be coming here very shortly. We're 10 days out. Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner and AJ Shaw. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Royals baseball tonight, 7:10 first pitch. Pregame 6:30. The Royals tonight looking to win the series against the Angels. Their streak broken last night, but looking to win this series. And by the way, Johnny Cueto is pitching for the Angels tonight. How about that name? Haven't heard that in a while. It's not his first return to the K, but he is back for one night.
And I think most Royals fans, even though his regular season numbers weren't great that year, will just forget about that because of the start he had in Game 2 of the World Series with that complete game.
I spoke earlier today with K-State volleyball coach Jason Mansfield. It was their media day. You'll hear that coming up at 5:25. Our predictions today are kind of 2-1. But K-State offensive and defensive newcomer of the year, one on both sides of the football. They are brand new this season. Our picks at 5:10. Voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus at 4:40. Guys, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite tonight from a sold-out arena in Cardiff, Wales, United Kingdom. And, AJ, this is what we call in the wrestling business the go-home show. It is the final show for Dynamite before the pay-per-view. That pay-per-view is this Sunday, AEW's All In a Wembley Stadium that have over 50,000 fans. And this card is stacked. It might be the greatest card in AEW history. And it starts with the 0 hour. Tune in early for free and watch mixed tag team matchup Willow Nightingale and Japanese legend Ishii versus Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. There is, for the main card, the Casino Gauntlet match to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. The AEW Trios World Championship on the line in a London ladder match. Christian Cage and the Patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang versus the House of Black versus a team to be named later. A coffin match for the TNT Championship, Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. AEW World Tag Team Championship Triple Threat, FTR versus the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed. The TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker D&D. AEW Women's World Championship on the line, Toni Storm versus Mariah May. How about the AEW American Championship? This might be the match of the night. MJF takes on the aerial assassin from England, Will Ospreay, and then it's the final countdown. It is title versus career. The champion, Swerve Strickland, versus the career on the line of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, for the AEW World Championship.
You finished?
I'm finished. This Sunday, 0 hour starts at 10 a.m. The official event starts at noon. Go buy the pay-per-view. Go buy it on YouTube, Bleacher Report. A lot of places. That also means we're joined by Drew Galloway from KSN Online. Drew, have you ever been out of the country?
Yes, I've gone out of the country a few times, but the trip to Ireland will be my first time post-COVID, so excited about that.
So where have you been?
So I've been to the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, really a lot of Caribbean islands.
Has that been like family trips or something?
Yeah, like family trips, family cruises, kind of like along those lines.
Well, Drew, let's start talking a little cats here. We'll kind of go a little fast pace here to get all these questions in because we got a lot to pick your brain about. As now we're getting deeper into all the prediction stuff and what we feel about the season that will be. And I feel like now we're just kind of hitting the season is taking too long to get here. We haven't had enough like crazy news or like breaking news or recruiting news like ever since I would say Lincoln Cure, and then on the basketball side when Coleman Hawkins, well, that was 2 months ago. It's been we just need the football season to get here. Well, we're 10 days out now, and I know for a fact that on yesterday's KSO show, you guys talked about Avery Johnson and potential numbers. Well, next week I'm going to do a prediction about Avery Johnson total touchdowns, like an over-under. But I'm just arguing with myself where I should set that number. So I'll let you have the first crack at what you feel like should be the over-under for total touchdowns for Avery Johnson this season.
See, that's a tough question, and it's something that we talked about on the KSO show yesterday because you have to take into account you don't know how many games that KSO will end up playing. But I think that I ended up saying like around that 37, 38 range. I think that's probably the safest bet, but I also don't know because not knowing how many games or what everything will look like, that number could easily be blown out of the water.
Yeah, it's such a tough one. I didn't even think about, well, we don't know how many games they'll play because of a potential, run. You never know in the college football playoff, the Big 12 championship game. Plus, we also kind of account for big plays and rushing touchdowns from your running backs and Dylan Edwards and DJ Giddens. Yeah, there's a lot to account for. 37 is a big number, though, I would assume. And plus, it's like, can Avery get, 2 passing touchdowns a game? Well, then he should probably pass the record that Will Howard broke last year in passing touchdowns, or he tied for it. And but that's another record. I mean, that's maybe something we could talk about down the road of breaking that record. Sticking with the offense here, Drew, there's been a lot of talk about Keegan Johnson and the attention that he's been grabbing, the good work that he's been getting done during the fall camps. And there's been a lot of A lot of talk about Keegan. And yesterday, AJ and I were talking about how he could be the next breakout player. So I don't consider last year any sort of breakout for Keegan Johnson. So with all that talk, though, now the expectations, I feel like, are getting a little bit higher. Right now, how do you feel about the expectations for Keegan Johnson this season?
I think that they should be pretty high because I was really high on him as a high school prospect. I was high on him when he ended up leaving Iowa. And then I was high on him coming out of fall camp last year. It just the injury bug kind of hit him throughout the year. But this year, I think that it can be pretty high because I think that there's a realistic shot where he could end up actually being the one that leads K-State in receiving yards over Jace Brown.
Over on the defensive side, secondary, I've said this many times, we're using the word elite a lot. And I thought, K-State and KU, they were right up there in the Big 12 last year as the best secondaries in the conference. Is K-State secondary, do you think it is the best in the Big 12 this season?
As of right now, it's hard to say no. I just think that all three safeties could be NFL guys. I think Jacob Parrish and Keenan Garber could make a run at all Big 12 this season, too. So I think that it's probably the best one in the Big 12 right now, and I think it could be pushing for probably that top 5, top 10 secondary units in the country by the time that's all said and done.
Who on the defensive side, a veteran, a newcomer, are you most interested to watch that first game out against UT Martin?
That's a great question. I think that I would probably lean towards Jordan Riley because I think that with a lot of the players on defense, for the most part, you kind of know what you're getting. But Jordan Riley coming in and how he has really conducted himself since coming to K-State from Ball State, and I really liked what I saw from him at Ball State. I'm really interested to see how that translates and how he fits because I think that like I said, I think that he could be an NFL guy too.
On either offense or defense, are you still left with any questions or anything that boggles your mind about it could be a concern or just general questions that you don't have an answer yet for this football team?
I still have a few questions at Mike linebacker. Like I know that Austin Romaine has made a big jump, that Terry Kirksey's made a jump. But I still need to see that more on the field to really ease my mind a little bit. And Alex Marinko's been pretty beat up throughout fall campus from how it sounded. So he's been a little bit behind. So I'm interested and a little bit concerned in that spot if I was going to pick a position group.
All right, let's dig into more of these prediction questions that we've had on the show here the last few days, the last few weeks, and I sent to some of them to you earlier to give you kind of a heads up because these are some thinkers. But I'm very curious to know your answer. And by the way, we're speaking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. So last week we were doing a lot of schedule questions. And one of the questions, I was real back and forth, and it's kind of funny because we're talking swing game. I was kind of back and forth on my answer for not only that, but some other questions as well, like the trap game and all that. But after just thinking a little bit, I really settled in a concrete pick, and that's the KU game. But do you have a different pick for what K-State's swing game would be this season?
The KU one is a good answer, but my swing game is Oklahoma State. I think that's early enough in the season against a team that K-State has kind of struggled with under Chris Kleiman. That I think that if K-State can beat Oklahoma State, that probably sets up for what could be a special season because you look at the schedule post-September, it gets a little bit lighter. I know that you still have West Virginia and the home KU games in October, but I think that the schedule really lightens up post-September. So taking care of business against Oklahoma State at home, I think, is a big deal.
All right, the road schedule, you have Tulane, you have Colorado, you have BYU, Iowa State, West Virginia. Am I forgetting somebody? I might be. But anyway, 6 road games on the schedule this year. It's a 6-6 schedule for K-State this year. It will be like that next year as well. Well, technically 7, but there's one game in Ireland. So what do you think about road record? I think this is rarely does K-State go undefeated on the road, undefeated at home. But this road schedule, I mean, this is what's going to determine if K-State gets into the Big 12 championship or not. So can K-State get to 5-1, maybe even 6-0 on the road schedule this year?
Yeah, I think that K-State will end up going 5-1 on the road this year. I've gone back and forth on the games that I thought that K-State might lose. I think that the one road loss, if I was going to pick it out, would probably be that at West Virginia game. I have no idea if West Virginia is going to be any good this year. I wasn't a big fan of them last year, and I think that the schedule kind of really lined up well for them. But if you look at where that game is for K-State, it's right after the Colorado game, which if you watch a lot of things during Big 12 Media Day, a lot of people on the team said that the game that they're most looking forward to against a new school was against Colorado. And you know that will be a big deal for Dylan Edwards as well. And then it's right before the KU game. So it's right in between two really highly contested games for K-State, and think that kind of falls in a spot where it's probably a trap game, and you have to go and then you have to go to a different time zone that you were even in the previous road stop at Colorado. So I think you kind of take into account all of that. That West Virginia game might be the toughest game on the schedule if you look at it from all of those factors.
I don't know about you, but mentioning Colorado, I don't know what to expect with Colorado. I mean, they did a decent Deion Sanders did a decent job in the portal with especially recruiting an offensive line that hopefully, you would think would be better. I don't know if I would use the word hopefully, but I'm speaking for Colorado fans, I guess. So let's take a look at it this way. The first 5 games before K-State, they have a home game against North Dakota State, then they're at Nebraska, then they're at Colorado State, then they host Baylor, then they're at UCF. Is Colorado better than 3-2 heading into 3-2 or better heading into that K-State game?
I would lean towards no. I'm really looking forward to how that game Thursday goes. I don't know if they win next Thursday against North Dakota State, to be honest.
Man, that's going to be such a test. North Dakota State, if it wasn't for South Dakota State, probably still, winning national championships. South Dakota State's kind of taken over as the big dog in the at the FCS level, but that's still going to be a major test. It's the Oklahoma State Cowboys who have to deal with South Dakota State right out of the gate. Let's see here. All right, we got one more question left, and that's the offensive and defensive breakout players. So again, the criteria is these are guys that have been here at least a year and haven't established themselves as what I call a household name. Do you have a pick for offensive and defensive breakout players?
For offensive, it's a little bit tougher with that kind of criteria because the offense has a lot of guys that have kind of played and are a little bit more on the household name standpoint. But I think with that criteria, I'd lean more towards Garrett Oakley. I think that he is not necessarily that household name yet, but could really break out. And I think that he is very, very athletic, has good hands. He only had 11 catches last season, but had, I believe, 3 or 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's nothing to really sneeze at and think that's very impressive from that standpoint. Defensively, I think that I'd go, I think that I'm going to go with Chidi Obiizer. I just think that he is a defensive end that can do a lot at K-State, and it has a different body type than a lot of different defensive ends that have kind of came through the program at that 6'6" and that 270, 280 kind of range. So I think that he can really take off this year, and I'm really excited to see him.
All right, Drew. Appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on. Thanks for going rapid fire with those questions, and we'll talk to you. Well, we'll see you on Monday, so appreciate it. We'll see you then.
Oh, yeah, see you then.
Voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Training camp update is next.
Your home for K-State sports. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Pantera brings us back, game. Mitch Fortner, AJ Shaw. AJ's leaving us after today to head back to Chicago, the Windy City.
They are the best, Pantera.
I don't know about the best, but you're entitled to your opinion.
Well, you would probably go Alice in Chains over them, probably.
Yes, I would.
Because you're an
I
Alice in
absolutely
Chains
would.
guy.
I absolutely would. I mean, half of Pantera has now passed away. Mm-hmm. Phil Anselmo is now touring as Pantera. I don't really honestly have interest.
Yeah.
I don't at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't know. If I could jump back into a time machine and see them peak Pantera, early 90s,
yeah,
for sure. I would absolutely go check out that show. By the way, speaking of concerts, while we wait on the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, to get freed up from his previous call to join us, I'm actually going to a concert this Saturday with my dad, going to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska.
School's not out for the summer, unfortunately.
Would you? It was just moments ago. Would you rather go to that show or Limp Bizkit?
I'd go to Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. I'm surprised you remember I don't like Limp Bizkit.
Well, that was your big hate of music, right? You don't like Limp Bizkit, and Troy doesn't like Freebird, which is crazy. That's definitely crazier than Limp Bizkit. But Limp Bizkit still sounds good. Like, he still has the voice. He hasn't shredded it like a lot of rock stars. I was just thinking about this during the break. The Big 12 is like a classic rock band at this point. So many original members are now gone and elsewhere, but there's still some originals still kicking and keeping the dream alive. We're now joined by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Mitch, I saw you were in town a few days ago. How was the meeting with the Cats?
You did see that. It was awesome, actually. And I just want all Cat heads that are listening to this to understand how fortunate Kansas State is to have Chris Kleiman as the head coach right now. And I'm not saying that to rub his ears or because he told me to. This day and age, you just talked about the Big 12 being a classic rock band, and you go back to the Boston concert at Hearn Fieldhouse, you're going, isn't that K-State? They're still playing lead guitar. Yeah, they are. They're still in the band. But in this day and age of Chris Kleiman's ability and his way to navigate where the earth is right now and keeping K-State right in the middle of it is imperative. He's perfect timing to be the head coach now at K-State. Plus, he's an outstanding football coach. I told you they run about the same stuff we do. Like I think I said, did you guys steal our iPad? Because there's a lot of cheap stuff, but the organization, the way they get you in mismatches. Chris Kleiman is way underrated, and I hope the K-State fan base understands. But it was excellent to be back in the building, to be with those guys, to look at what's in front of them and what could happen, but what they have to do to get that done. So yes, it was a great discussion. I'll be back Friday, but for a more sad and different reason, I'll be speaking at Eileen Briggs' funeral. Russ lost his wife. Super sad deal, but I'll be back in happiness for not such a happy day. But that being said, it was great to be there Friday night, and man, the vibe in that place is awesome.
Well, Mitch, you sparked a thought because Matt Wells, the new quarterback coach, was talking about the tweaks and differences that the offense might have, and they're throwing a ton of looks at the K-State defense in fall practice so far. And he had mentioned they've thrown 4 tight end formation at that defense, and that's certainly a different look. But I think, do I recall right, the Chiefs not too long ago were throwing out 4 tight end formations?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do it this year. I mean, I could see 4 tight ends making the roster, and even if they don't, let's say the Carson Steele kid, who's the comic book hero, he could be the 4th tight end in some of those formations. So, yeah, and I'll get used to it. We were the first to really use 3 tight ends. I'll tell you the day it started. Nobody in the NFL was running until we ran against Miami in 2014. It was kind of the coming out party of Kelsey. And to run that accordion tight end style and power up one side, or to show that in motion away from it, but to go 3 tight ends and be able to throw out of that. That's what I'm telling you about Kleiman. Kleiman thinks like Andy Reid. I show you guys 4 tight ends, but I have the acumen and the ability and the structure to throw routes out of that, because if you're the defense, you've got to go big to answer it. If not, you got DJ Giddens coming at you with 4 tight ends blocking. But if you've got the ability to run routes, which 2 of those 4 are going to break out and run a 7 route on you? And it's what the Chiefs do. So if those tight ends come alive and running routes, I look big and throw the ball. I look small and run the ball. That's what the Chiefs do better right now than anybody else in the league.
And I know Chris Kleiman's had a great run of putting quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's get ready for tight ends to the NFL. That's going to really take it. It just started with Ben Sinnott. We're speaking with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. In the preseason game against Detroit, we saw the behind-the-back pass, and everybody went nuts when Mahomes threw that behind-the-back to Travis Kelce that went for like 9 yards. How much did you see that in training camp so far?
I saw it twice, and I saw one to Pacheco that was way better than the one you saw on Saturday. It was way better. And, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to play-by-play calls, and I should have anticipated it. I was a little clunky in my call, because when I saw it in camp, and I go, man, I got to be ready for this because this will be so cool. But he throws it better than he threw it the other day. Kelce did a really good job of going down and getting kind of a knuckleball. There's one he threw to Pacheco where the defenders were pretty much in place, and all of a sudden the ball's where, what, gone, touchdown. And people go, well, he won't do that in the real game. Yes, he will. And he's got a chance to do it way better and execute better than he did the other day, Mahomes.
Well, Mitch, if you want to redo the call of that play, you could do it now. We'll throw it in on some promos or something. We'll dub it right in there to promote the games coming up.
Yeah, we'll skip it right now, but catch me next time. I'll be ready to go. I'll blow your doors off, but that's okay.
You've done it plenty of times. It was a tough loss, 24-23 to the Lions, and a comeback win for Detroit. Did you feel any better? Because I know last week you were a little disappointed in the loss on the road at Jacksonville. Are you feeling any better about any parts of this team so far in that last game?
This is like Mr. O'Rourke, my science teacher in Smith Center, who was really skilled and good that a small-town Kansas high school would have this awesome science teacher, but he's also a pain in the butt for me. Because he would go, I like this about what you're doing, but I really don't like this about what you're doing. It was always that way. Like, could I get a gut? Hey, you're good, but couldn't get it. Now, what I liked was the fact that special teams came back, and they were a force. You got a 43-yard kickoff return from Sky Moore, thumbs up. You got a 42-yard punt return from Nico Remigio, thumbs up. That's the other thing I liked was Nico, after kind of messing up his pants in the first game, he came roaring back, trying to make the team. What I did not like and where I was concerned, and I'm losing a little sleep over it, is depth on the offensive line. Now, tomorrow is big because of Wanye Morris getting to start at left tackle, and he has not played yet. He needs to play. Plus, Lucas Niang at right tackle, he needs to play and play at a high level. We got to find some backup offensive linemen, and you're going, wait a minute. You're talking about backup offensive? Yes, I am. If you're going to go 17 games or try to win the Super Bowl winning 21 games, you better have 7 at least offensive linemen that can play. And I don't think I can answer that question right now with the Chiefs. The other one would be depth at linebacker or in the defensive front. They're getting run over in the run game in these preseason games when those guys get on the field. And last year, Drew Tranquill was a luxury to have as basically your seventh-inning relief guy. Well, now he's closing the game. So who's your seventh-inning reliever guy? And this might be the cost of, paying Chris Jones. You don't have as much depth, but you've got to find what you can, and that's tomorrow night. That's a big deal tomorrow night. Is those guys have got to play better. Offensive line that will start the game and play much of the game, and the defensive seconds, especially at backer and defensive line, who will play much of the game.
Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, there's so much to watch tomorrow night against the Bears. And I even have some more thoughts on some places that you didn't mention. So I'll pick your brain on this.
Go for it.
Well, so right now, I'll first ask on the defensive side, do you have a front runner right now on who's going to be the other corner up opposite Trent Duffy?
It has been the most asked question of me this week, and I do not lose sleep over that one. And here's why. I've seen it camp. I've seen this spring. I see what Spags is thinking. He's got so many things he can do there, scheme-wise and player-wise, that I don't know if you have to have, this is CB2. I don't think you necessarily need that. You'll see Williams. You'll see Jalen Watson. You're going to see Najee Johnson. You'll see a lot of that. You'll see big safety. You'll see 6 DBs with 3 safeties. I mean, there's disguise in there. Spags has this handled. I'm not freaking out over that one.
All right, so let's go back to the offense. Who's going to be on the back end on the running backs? You have Isaiah Pacheco, but, Deneric Prince has looked really good. Who else fills out the roster right now at running back?
Well, this is tomorrow night's discussion. When you listen to the game, you'll hear this because this all kind of morphs together with the bottom end or whatever, the wide receiver and the tight end core. You're going to keep 4 tight ends, you'll keep 3 running backs. You're going to keep 3 tight ends, 7 wide receivers, still probably going to keep 3 running backs. So you're going to rob the defense of too many guys. So I don't know. I think Carson Steele has gone from being, he looks like a lead, in your rock bands, your classic rock band, like he's the lead guitarist, right? I said on the air the other day that Dan Campbell, who's the Lions coach, his favorite band is Metallica. And he's probably looking at our guy going, who's the Metallica guy on the field? Well, that's Carson Steele. But I think he's gone from that kind of ha-ha guy to like, wait a minute, he's probably on the team. So I don't have an answer for you at that for the third running back. I don't. And I think tomorrow night's enormous for that regard. Well, what's Clyde going to do? What are we going to do with Clyde? Does he go to an NFI? 4 tight ends? I told you. Damn. It'll be hard to cut him. Now, you could probably protect him on the practice squad as one of your 4 veteran protected guys. And then at wide receiver, with Hollywood Brown down, you're probably going to go with 7. But somebody's got to go. Probably 2 got to go. And that discussion, your question, is an excellent one. I don't have an answer, but it kind of morphs together with tight end and wide receiver as well.
Okay, so you just hinted right there at the last question I had that I'm certainly going to be watching for tomorrow night.
Can I give you something? Can I give you something to think outside the box in the running back deal?
Sure.
If you keep 7 wide receivers, your third running back might be a wide receiver.
Okay, so then how are we feeling?
I just screwed up your fantasy league.
Well, maybe a little bit, but I still have the same thought right now about Kadarius Toney and where he's at right now. So I wanted to get your opinion on him and right now where he's falling, because probably right now he's making the team, but Marquise Brown may not play week 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's he's the NCAA tournament team that's watching the teams fly off the board.
He's on the bubble.
I don't think he's. Yeah, I don't think he's an automatic guy at all. Now, if he was like what everybody wanted him to be in the 65-yard punt return Super Bowl 57, Kadarius Toney, there's your answer, because there could be your third running back. But there's other candidates for that. Rice can do it. Worthy can do a little bit. He showed a little bit of that the other day. Hollywood Brown's even repped at it. McCall Hardman can do it. And I mean, not just jet sweeps, like running back plays. So I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but that's thinking outside the box in that regard. But Tony's right there with Justin Ross, McCall Hardman, Sky Moore. Man, they're racing those 4 guys are probably racing for 2 spots.
All right, Mitch, I got to ask you.
Nico Remigio. There's another guy.
Oh, yeah.
He can play. He can do running back plays. You can run him on a sprint draw. You can run him on a lead, a counter ISO. Yeah, you can run him with that. He's probably got the most acumen of all those guys to do it, and he may be your kickoff return guy with these new goofy kickoff rules.
All right, so there's one more player I got to ask you about. So we know about the 3 on the roster right now: Phillip Brooks, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and Echo Boydo. But what about Randon Plattner, who's going to be doing the long snapping tomorrow, filling in for Winchester? Have you seen him work yet?
I have. He fits the part. I'm super happy for him because now he's going to have actual video when he goes on the beauty pageant circuit, and his agent, whomever that is going, "Hey, got a guy for you. Got a guy. He's done it for the Chiefs. Here it is. He gets it." And I was excited when they saw him. Remember Drew Scott? He actually married a Smith Center girl. He was with us for one day in camp a couple years ago. I think he's living in Florida now. Mackenzie works for F1. Plattner, this is his Super Bowl. But what an opportunity for him. And it's cool that he's out there. I think this is, in my brief 31 years as the voice of the Chiefs, I think it's an all-time high of 4 K-Staters on the roster at one time for the Chiefs. I can't think of another time when there's been 4.
Is Randon still rocking the haircut?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
But he don't have, people look at him and go, "Dude, you're a long way from Carson Steele, man." The best thing you could do, actually, the worst thing you could do is wear that cowboy hat coming down the tunnel and then get camera shots of him going on social media. Or what he ought to do, if he's really smart, is try to fake it out and make people think he's Carson Steele. Like put a cowboy hat on, put a 42 jersey, and walk down the tunnel. And watch everybody go on social media and go, "Hey, Carson Steele." You go, "No, it's Plattner. He fooled everybody." I'd give him $10 to do that.
Yeah, good thing the Chiefs are at home, or else he's stealing somebody's band instrument after the win and taking a picture of it to encapsulate the win. All right, Mitch, we got a jet. We got to let you go. We're coming up on a break, but Appreciate your time, and we'll catch up next week.
Yep, real quick, tomorrow night, it's breaking news. We have a concert after the game.
Ooh.
Carson Steele and Plattner are going to be lead guitarists. So get your tickets now.
I hear they're going to be playing some classic rock.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You got it, along with Chris Kleiman.
All right, Mitch, we'll see you later.
See you, boys.
That's Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs. Let's wrap up hour 1 right now. Hour 2 coming up next. You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.